He's a lifelong Detroiter, a former musician and author, Jimmy Doom. His new book, That Fountain Ain't Gonna Grant Your Wish, is filled with short stories about our everyday life experiences. Jimmy joins us now to tell us about that book and growing up in Detroit. Thanks a lot for coming in this morning.
Well, thank you for having me.
So we mentioned you grew up in Detroit. Share a little bit about your upbringing in the city and how it really shaped you.
Well, I grew up on the west side, and as some people remember, that was when Detroit was the murder capital. That's when Detroit had a horrible reputation. And that developed a lot of pride with kids who grew up in the city. And I went to high school in the city, and I was always proud of the city. And when it started to resurge and there's a little more economic development in the city, I'm proud of that too. But I wanted to tell real stories of the grit, the less glamorous part of Detroit that people might not know about.
You know, grit is such a key word when it comes to, describing Detroit. I just want to touch you, a musician at one point, then you made a transition.
I was not a musician.
You
I was
weren't?
a guy in a band.
Oh, a guy in a band.
There's a distinct difference between being a musician.
Well, you're more
I
of a
was the
musician
guy
than
holding the
most.
microphone. I had musicians behind me. I was musician adjacent.
Adjacent. Well, no matter what you call yourself, you're on a stage with people who were musicians.
Yes.
Then you made the transition to acting and being an author. How did that come about? Was that more like in your lane?
I was, yeah, I think acting is more in my lane. I think most people would say that about me. I was playing at St. Andrews Hall, and a guy named Kevin King approached me after a show and said, dude, I have a script with a singer in a band, and you're a singer in a band, and I want you to play a singer in a band in my movie. And honestly, I really, I almost turned him down because I didn't have any experience. And I didn't want to ruin his movie. And he's like, nah, bro, you'll be great. So,
well, we're glad you got in that movie, and then you transitioned.
And then in this weird Bruce Springsteen-esque thing, I wound up working in an auto plant. I was at American Axle. I got laid off from there. I was upset, and I tried to get my band back together, and that didn't work. And my girlfriend said, what about those independent movies you used to do, honey? Why don't you try that? And I took her advice. I went back to an audition, and 3 films later, I was working with David Carradine.
I can't believe you're surprised the band didn't want to get back together. You just didn't. You just called yourself not a musician. Of course,
yeah, I know.
We want to get back together with this guy. He's not a musician.
I don't blame them for not taking me back. I really don't.
All right, let's talk about your books. You have 2. The first one, Humans.
Humans Being.
Humans Being. Give us a little, synopsis of that one.
That's Humans Being, a story a day for a year. And it's exactly 100-word stories, 365 of them. So I was writing and just trying to keep things short, and I stuck on 100 words. And when I published more and more of them, I'm like, I might as well publish a book. So I did.
And then you kind of expanded for your second book. You went into short stories. You got a whole bunch of them in That Fountain Ain't Gonna Grant Your Wish.
Yes.
I'd love for you to, can you kind of share one of those stories?
Okay, I'd love to, and I'm going to, but I'm just going to warn you, I'm going to bleep myself.
Yeah, we prefer beeps.
These are gritty stories. Do we have time for this?
Yeah, well, we got a minute or two. We got a couple minutes.
This one's called Powerless. It's very important to me, and I think you'll figure out why. Hangovers usually came with accessories like Jehovah's Witness doorbell rings or lost car keys or naked women in bed next to them. There was definitely a doorbell ring and a pitcher of water next to the bed with fruit flies in it that led him to believe it wasn't just water. There were eggs and toast next to him, and a fully clothed woman he didn't remember walked into the room. Did you cook this, he asked. She smiled at him, the way someone would smile at a 3rd grader at the beach who asked if they were pregnant, and said, no, I ordered it from the place my sister works at. And he grabbed the foam container, stuck the plastic fork in it, and set it back on the nightstand. Eat, she said. He took 2 bites, set the container on the floor, let his head fall back on the pillow. There was red liquid in a glass on the dresser. Vodka and cranberry, he hoped. Anything in cranberry, he hoped. He was too embarrassed to ask her name because the sunlight between the curtains told him she had obviously spent the night. Come on, let's go, she said. He crawled from bed and drank the red liquid. It was something in cranberry, probably vodka, the pleasant burn that let him know there was booze in it. He was fully clothed except for shoes. She had keys in her hand. He stood. There was a shoe on the floor and one on the chair. He put them on and followed her down the hall. She led him outside to a blue car. He didn't see his car, though his keys were in his pocket and he had locked his apartment door. In the car, he looked for any evidence of her name, an employee badge hanging from a rear view, mail, anything. Nothing. He felt his pockets. There were a few crumpled bills. She turned on Sheldon, driving away from town. Where are we going? She patted his hand like she was about to tell a third grader something they didn't want to hear. I'm taking you to rehab, just like you asked me to last night. He kicked his head back against the headrest, slowly beating his head against it. Bleep, bleep, bleep. It'll be okay. It's for the best. They saved my sister's life. Bleep. She drove, occasionally reaching to pat his hand, and smiled at him like a child going to get a booster shot. He trembled, wanted to cry. I need a drink. She laughed through her nose, shaking her head. Just like Rose, the woman said. There are warm seltzers in the bag behind your seat with the cat litter. If you must, better slam one. We're almost there. He hesitated, then curled around the seat like he was looking for a fire extinguisher in a busy kitchen, clawing at the bag. He cracked a seltzer, mango, slammed some, and it threatened to come back up all over this nameless woman's car. They pulled into a circular driveway. The name of the rehab could have been the name of a golf club. Everything shook. The world was off its axis. He knew this day was coming for years, but not today, not today. She unbuckled her seatbelt, got out, and opened his door. She helped him out of the car like they were at a prom. Did I really ask to go to rehab last night? Her grip on his hand tightened. It wasn't reassuring. It was just tight and suffocating. No, you didn't. But damn, dude. Damn. Seriously, damn. With her hand, she grabbed his belt and guided him toward the door.
That is powerful stuff. And that is all from experiences you have similarly had in the past.
I don't drink anymore. I've been sober for almost 8 years. And so that was my ode to those days where you wake up and you don't remember anything, people, anything. And you know you need to change, but you're afraid of it.
Jimmy Doom, such an interesting, I want to call you a character in the most, respectful way.
Yeah, I get called that all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine. You have 2 published books. Definitely interesting reads. You just got a little taste of that now. We'll definitely have to have you back one day and get into some other aspects of your life. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.